I'm not sure if I did an episode on reverse delay, did I? Oh well, I'm doing another one. So yeah, way back in like 1991, in 88, I quit listening to Pink Floyd and I discovered Adrian Blue. And I went to a concert, Mr. Music Head tour, and I knew he had reverse guitar sounds on his new album, Mr. Music Head. And I thought, gee, it's going to be funny to hear him play the tape, or how they're going to try to recreate this with some volume swell device. And the first song was called Hot Zoo, and it was reverse guitar live. And he was up there mugging. He was like, yeah, it's backwards, like doing this thing with his Strat. And I'm like, holy fuck, how are they doing that? Like, it just blew my mind. And later on, I read about the Eventide 3000. Now, this is a fancy delay, very clean delay. When you hear the digital repeat, it's just as clean as the input. Now, the Eventide 3000, the model number is also its price. It's $3,000. They use it at the radio station. So this is when you call in, you go, motherfucker. There's an 8-second delay. So what you're hearing is delayed. And they can dump you if you swear. They hit a button which dumps that audio which is in the delay, coming up to be broadcasted because it's delayed. And then as they begin speaking, the delay recoups itself. And it does that without changing the pitch of the audio. So it's like it's some heavy duty sorcery going on with this Eventide 3000. Now, in seeing Ballou multiple times in this other band, Ballou had a band called the Bears, and the Bears used guitar synthesizers and this reverse device. And there was 2 guitar players. The other guy's from Cincinnati, Rob Fetters. And I was at a Psychodot show. That's the guy from Cincinnati, Rob Fetters. And I noticed this dude who was there. Everyone was talking to him after the show. And he was, it's a guy by the name of Biff. Now, Biff is in the Gomers. He's from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. He's a really cool underground music guy who's been a staple of the music community. He's a brilliant dude. And he also was the guitar tech on Adrian Ballou's Inner Revolution tour, or was it Here tour? I forget. But I had seen this dude, Biff, on stage playing violin, and I went up to him because I thought, oh, that guy, I bet he knows how both of these dudes are getting these reverse guitar sounds live. You know, it's an effect. It's a device that able to flip the guitar sound around in reverse. I had no idea what it was. I was thinking he was going to tell me, oh, well, save your pennies, that's the Eventide 3000. So I approached the guy. I said, yeah, I remember you playing violin on Big Blue Sun, the name of the song. He says, oh, yeah, not only was I the guitar tech, but I got to play my violin. And I said, you know, the real reason I'm talking to you is I have a question. And I said, how are they getting those reverse guitar tones? He said, for that, you're going to have to buy me a drink. And I mean, I go up to the bar, I'm like, can I have some ice? I'm like, I think he had like a White Russian or some kind of thing. I don't remember what it was, but I've still, yet the day has not come where I've treated myself to a cocktail. Oh, you know what? I had an old fashioned once when I was dating my wife, trying to impress her, and it was horrible. I think the vermouth was bad. Is that a thing? Bad vermouth? You tell me. Biff says to me, oh, that's the Boss RPS-10 reverse pitch shifter. Of course it is. So I'm calling up Boss, all of the music store. No, we never heard. What? Pitch shifter? Get out of here. I'm calling pawn shops. Finally, at home, I had a Roland GR50 guitar synth, which I was running the drums and rhythm tracks to try to learn how to record and make my own music with a 4-track recorder. And I had a Boss SE50, which was a multi-effector with a little digital readout. And both of those had custom patch banks written by the same guy, Scott B. Summers. And it would come up, Scott B. Summers. And I was using these sounds. It was like a velocity-sensitive flute. So I called Roland Boss Corporation in California, long distance, on my home line. And I was like, may I speak to Scott B. Summers, please? And I got him on the line, and I said, hey, Scott, I'm using your velocity-sensitive +5, +12. You know, like if you picked soft, it would be a fifth. If you picked hard, it would be an octave. I was using your flutes with this reverse gated reverb, and I'm getting a little bit of a boner. And he was like, oh, yeah, I got to talk to you. So he put me on hold for like a half hour. And he comes back, and I'm like, dude, your sounds rule, and we're talking, and like, ring modulator. This was in the time when, like, people really hated effects, and they were like,
nothing comes in between my Les Paul and my Marshall except for my cable. You want to fight?
And I'm like, but seriously, dude, where can I get one of these RPS 10s? Do you have like a room at Roland where like you keep that old stuff and you just grab one for me? So he says, let me, you know, I know this guy. I went to Berkeley or GIT with him. So 3 weeks later, this dude calls me. I drive halfway to New York from Chicago, somewhere in Ohio or Pennsylvania, something. Meet this guy, paid him $300 cash, and I got a RPS 10 backwards box. And it had a rack tray, 2 half rack units. The other one was a reverb. So I had reverse guitar in 1992. No one had it. And blah, blah, blah. I played in a band with a guitar synth where I was playing bass on a Strat. And I would run the bass synth to a bass amp with an EQ pedal, getting rid of all the ugly high. I think I used a acoustic, like a double bass patch a lot, because it sounded realistic. And then I would run the straight guitar through that reverse with a foot switch to turn it on and off. And then this lovely reverb unit, and then a JC120 amp. And like on the chorus, depending on what it was, I could turn that reverse on. I had a volume pedal, like so if I wanted to bring the guitar in. So people, especially musicians, other bands, would like run up to the stage and be like squinting, trying to figure out like, where's that reverse coming from, you know? So yeah, reverse is at the top of my list, my favorite effect. So Happy New Year to me. I'm making this video today. I'm just going to demo you guys. This is 100% wet, so there's none of the clean sound. That was 640 milliseconds, which you hear this that whomp whomp whomp. That's the delay resetting itself. So you pluck, and if you have it set true to 100% wet. Some people don't set it that way. They have some of their straight sound in, and that's cheating. Although you can do some pretty cool stuff blending it. But when I initially got this, I never, ever blended any of the straight sound in. You have to play ahead of the measure because it's a delay that's flipped around. So when you pluck, whatever time it's set to, eventually you'll hear the note. So meaning if you want that to line up, you have to play ahead of the measure. So it's a little bit of wizardry. It takes some skill to learn it. I'm going to expand the delay time to 1600 milliseconds. And that's because Adrian Ballou had mentioned, and I mean, this all has to do with the BPM, the tempo of your song. Depending on the tempo, is going to dictate, because you need that tempo to be lining up with these repeats. But this is the super long version, and every delay or reverse delay is going to have a maximum delay time. The RPS 10, the original 12-bit Boss half-rack backwards box, that's the best one. I'm sorry, it is. In my opinion, I think that's the best. Even though it's 12-bit, the maximum time on that is around 900, I think. So typically for like a rock tempo around 120 beats per minute, you're going to set it to around 630 milliseconds. Somewhere in there, and adjust it anywhere up to 700. But this 1.6 is like, it's twice as much. So. So as far as people who use this device, Rob Fetters of the Psychodots of the Bears, Adrian Belews, it's really not Belews' band, it's really Fetters' band. He still uses the RPS 10, which it's not like, he's still using it because it's the best. I've tried other devices that do this, and there's something magical about that box, the RPS 10. So I'm going to leave you a link to check out Rob in action from the Woodward Theater. The song's called Veneer. And we were there. It was the final Psychodots Thanksgiving show. But yeah, this is a good example when Fetters engaging the reverse delay, and he closes his eyes, and it gets real. As far as me, I wrote a song with it in like 95 and did a solo. And in that solo, my technique was I had it set at 8 or closer to 700, and I was doing traditional like tapping, like. And I was using a wah-wah pedal in time with that, and also I was bypassing it. So you'd hear that flurry of notes forward, and then I would hit the switch in time with the song, turning it on and off as I'm playing the solo and doing that tapping. But when I'm holding in a tapping pattern, I would turn it on and turn it off. And with the wah-wah, and then something about it, all of a sudden it's in reverse and then it's forward. It just sounds so cool. So that's the guitar solo in the song Introduction, and I'm going to put that at the end of this video so you can check out how I use the reverse box. And then there's another song just a few years ago in the spring. It rained, like the whole spring rained, and my wife and I normally go and make music outdoors at the quarry or at the park. We were unable to do that, so I wrote this song called Rain Out, and I'm using a G3 Zoom that has a reverse, and I have a expression pedal which blends the mix. So when I have the toe down, it's 100% wet, and I do toe down during the song, so I'm playing the melody ahead of the measure. You just have to kind of I've taught myself this. I'm playing it even though I'm playing it out of sync with the beat. You hear the melody playing where it's supposed to be, but it's completely backwards. Reverse delay is readily available. You can check out the Dan Electro Back Talk is reissued, but really any decent delay, the DD7. It's just that I think what a lot of people don't know or might miss with reverse is that mix control. You really need to turn that all the way, so you only hear the reverse sound. You can experiment, and some people play reverse delay to great effect with having some of the wet sound blended in. It's just much more dramatic, and it's also much more difficult, because if you're having it line up, and like when the band changes key, you're still playing in that other key, well, it's going to go through the delay, and you're going to be hearing notes in the wrong key. So to do it right is a little bit more of a learning process. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys soon. Quick, before the demo, I can't believe I forgot. Huge thank you to Biff. It was reasonably, just within a couple of months, I had my mitts on the RPS 10 after speaking with Biff. Out of all of the stuff, and believe me, I've got some stuff, it's just the coolest thing in the house. It really is. It was well worth the White Russian, and I gotta say that was real class. You got the free drink on it. You knew there wasn't any question in your mind. You know, I would have bought you 3. You just have to understand how poor I am, why I didn't buy you another. So please forgive me, but I really wanted to thank you and let you know how much it meant to me, and how much it, I used it. I used it a lot on some amateur recordings that I'm really proud of, that gave me a lot of confidence. So it was a big deal, and I really do appreciate it. So thanks, Biff. Happy New Year.
Let me introduce myself. The name is Peteys, 2 Finger. And when I come into your town, my sounds will linger. I came here to tell you today about the instruments I learned to play. I'm only gonna ask one favor. Don't ever call me a bass player.
Just a bass player, bass player.
This came about when I quit the band. A decent gig we could never land. And we only seemed to have one fan, and that was our singer, Dan. You see, when I wrote this song, I just knew I couldn't go wrong. And it didn't even take me that long. Now that I'm off the bong. But what do I know about this rock and roll business anyway?
how about you click the link in the description? You can check out a 4-fingered, like a real guitar player, Rob Fetters, playing the Boss RPS 10 reverse pitch. If you're playing some backwards guitar, we call it, in a song called Veneer. This song is written by the bass player, Bad Black Bob. Nice wonger. It originally came out on a Bears album called Eureka. The song's called Veneer. It's a great song. You're going to have to sit through the beginning till you get to the guitar solo. And I tell you, he starts the solo with the reverse off. He's just playing regular guitar, and at some point he engages it, and that's when it starts getting really deep. So don't miss this one. Rob Fetters is a world-class guitar player. And this technique it's just not very widely used, you know. Reeves Gabrels, I can't believe I forgot to mention him. He used the RPS 10 all over these Tin Machine albums that he made with David Bowie, that the like Rolling Stone, like these type of music critic guys, they hated that music. Well, it was a departure from Bowie's Blue Jean and Let's Dance. It's great music. So yeah, if you've never listened to the Psycho Dots or the Bears, if you've never listened to David Bowie and Reeves Gabrels' incredible Tin Machine albums, this is some stuff you should check out. So play along at home and enjoy. And thank you for joining me for, I told you when I first started doing episodes of Peteys Peds, you would never know what to expect. So what has it been, a 4-year break? And then we return? I told you.
Hey there, buddy. What's that sound? Hey there, buddy. What's that smell? It's Peteys Peds.